And just like that, the 2025-2026 NFL season has come to an end. I mean, what an electric, amazing, I've said it over and over on this podcast, one of the best seasons that I've ever watched in my life. Sadly, has come to an end. I mean, I'm dreading it, or I was dreading it, and it's finally came, and it ended. I don't want to now. Listen, I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but if you recall the last podcast, I was nervous that this final game, this Super Bowl, would end like this. I had a few things saying that I thought it could be more likely that it ends in a 14-plus point game than a 3-point game. I was very confident that this Super Bowl would be lopsided. And obviously, we're going to get to everything. We're going to go in depth talking about this game, but definitely not the most competitive game to end the season all off with. But I think an overall great Super Bowl for what it was on, the winner side, I should say. But we got a lot of great things we're going over in this podcast. Obviously, we're going to get to the Super Bowl talk. We have pregame talk before every single episode that we're going to get to with Jaden. And then we have some award winners, some news for upcoming episodes during this offseason. But before all of that, let's do it. Let's get to pregame talk with my main man, Jaden. What do we got today?
Yeah, so staying somewhat on topic with, today's episode, I wanted to do a blind ranking. That's going to be blind ranking past Super Bowl MVPs.
Okay, I'm always down for this. I'm sure we're going to have some great ones, but we've had some rough ones in some recent years, so let's hear it.
All right, let's start ultra recent and go Kenneth Walker, 2026.
Kenneth Walker. Yeah, this is I wouldn't say not a great one. I think Kenneth Walker showed his dominance in this game, and that's a big point that we're going to get to once we start talking about this game. But I think, nothing out of this world, but also if you look at a lot of Super Bowl MVPs, we're not looking at 200 yards receiving or anything crazy like that. Walker with 161 total yards, 135 on the ground, 30 through the air, or 26 through the air, 0 touchdowns. Obviously had the big one called back, but and I'm doing, there's only 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put this one, it's either 3 or 4 for me. So I'm going to go with my gut and say 4 because I think Kenneth Walker was really good. But we could have some really tough ones because I'm thinking like Edelman. I might put this over like an Edelman. You could even go for, I don't think you'd go super far back because I don't know what. I'm just going to go with my gut and I'm going to go 4.
All right. Next, I got Nick Foles, 2017.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I mean, this could probably be number 1. Let me just look this up just so I know for sure what I'm looking at here.
373 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
3 passing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown.
Yeah, 4 total. Super Bowl MVP, obviously, with the iconic Philly special. This is really good. I mean, how much more are better than this in recent memory? I'm not really sure because even like Mahomes' Super Bowl MVPs, maybe the one against the Eagles I think was really, really good, but I think the other 2 weren't like crazy out of this world. Man, I think considering the situation, being a backup and how much he did for that team, I'm gonna go 1. I'm gonna go 1 for Foles.
All right. Next, I got Tom Brady 2020.
Tom Brady 2020. Again, I gotta refresh my memory here with these numbers, but this is obviously the one with the Bucks where he smoked the Chiefs. And let me see. Let me look up these exact numbers so I know what I'm looking at here. 21 for 29, 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Obviously a dominant win over the Chiefs. Either 2 or 3. Definitely not a 5. I mean, nothing too crazy. I think this was a very easy game for a guy like Brady with how amazing his defense played. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go 3. I think I'm gonna play it safe. I think you look at the sheer box score. I think they're flattering. They're great. But I think watching this game, it was more of a thing where like his defense was
the story of this game was the defense.
Yeah,
100%.
Getting consistent stops, having great field position, things like that. I think I'm gonna put this at 3. I think I'm gonna save my 2 and 5 spot for these next ones.
All right. Next we got 2013 Malcolm Smith.
Okay, this I think I saved my number 5 spot here. Because obviously he had the pick 6, but I think his performance overall wasn't but I think he like had a bigger game than that. 10 tackles, 6 solo, 4 assists. He had the pick 6, even had a fumble recovery. It's not 2. So I guess out the gate I probably should have put Kenneth Walker 1. This you could argue that this could be 4
Kenneth
over
Walker
Kenneth Walker 1. No, I'm saying like the Kenneth Walker 1. I meant to like if I worded that wrong, I meant to say like the Kenneth Walker MVP. I think I should have put at 5, and maybe this could have gone at 4. But I think you could really flip-flop those two Seahawks Super Bowl MVPs, by the way. But this definitely isn't 2, so I'll go 5 on this. And then we'll round it out with my number 2 being what?
Julian Edelman, 2018.
Yeah, I saw this one coming. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had like 80 or 90 yards and a touchdown. Am I wrong for that?
Nah, he hit 100. He had like 130.
Did. Oh, wow.
10 catches.
Okay. That was a lot better than I thought. Maybe I'm thinking, what Super Bowl am I thinking of? Maybe it's the Falcons 1 numbers that I'm thinking of. I didn't realize he had that. No, he had 10 for 141. He did not score a touchdown, though. I remember that was the one that went to Sony Michel that game. But, yeah, this definitely, I don't think it's 2. I think it would probably be fitting at 3. But overall, I don't think that's honestly that bad. I think considering it, I think I got the right number 1. I think I would say I got the right, and it's really just 4 and 5. You could flip-flop 2 and 3. You could flip-flop. Like, I think those are pretty close to being set in stone. But, yeah, overall, honestly, I think that's a pretty solid list. So, yeah, a great pregame talk. As always fun to get those rankings. There's obviously some big news in the NFL that we want to get to, but instead of going, this past Sunday out the gate, we're going to start out with the Super Bowl. Obviously, the biggest game of the year. We got a bunch of news that we're going to get to, like I said, awards, things like that. But I want to start with this Super Bowl. So some of my key notes that I want to make here. One, I don't want to say it, but it was really going through my mind throughout this game. And I know this could be considered a hot take, especially considering the score of the other game. And, the Seahawks ended up getting a defensive touchdown this game. But you could make a real argument that this was one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant, Super Bowl performance by a defense that we've seen in a long time. I mean, they nearly set the record for most sacks in a Super Bowl game at 8. They had 3 or 4 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. They had the fumble recovery for a touchdown. And I mean, Drake May, who finished second in MVP, was 1 vote away from being the MVP. Who
2 votes.
Was it 2? I know that he had, it was a 1 vote off.
It would have been tied.
But wasn't that?
It was 23-24.
I thought it like goes like, I guess you're right, but I thought
maybe because maybe if they tied, then maybe
would go
they do like a total vote.
Yeah, it would go to total votes. I thought that was like the thing with everybody was saying like, oh, he was 1 vote away. Like even if they tied, I think he would have got it. I think that's
maybe
how it would have worked. But regardless, a guy who finished second was that close to being MVP of the league, and a player who has not looked good throughout this playoffs whatsoever. No matter what people online try to convince you, it's something that a lot of people, including myself, have been an advocate for, is that Drake May has not looked good, not even remotely. You can look at the numbers. You can look at the 3 touchdowns against the Texans. He has not had a good game this whole playoffs, and it finally caught up to you, or finally caught up to him. And again, you can look at the stats. It's a thing like Mahomes from last year where his numbers look pretty, even though they got blown out by the Eagles. He got a lot of stats in the fourth quarter and late in this game. I mean, am I looking at? Yeah, I'm looking at these numbers correct. He had 235 yards and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter when his team was down by 20 points. I mean, it was ugly. 12 yards in the third quarter, 14 yards in the second quarter, and 34 in the first. I mean, he couldn't do anything. And again, I don't want to put it all on Drake May because not only has his play not been pretty, but that is caused by the offensive line being, I mean, you can just say it, abysmal. And that starts with obviously their rookie first round pick, Will Campbell, who has not looked very pretty throughout this playoff run. And it was simply a team that was Super Bowl ready. I mean, it was a Super Bowl team versus a not Super Bowl team. This was a Super Bowl. Obviously, these teams both won 3 games to get there, or the Seahawks only won 2. The Pats ended up winning 3, but these were teams that won multiple playoff games to get to this altitude, and it looked as advertised, as what I thought it would be, a game that was simply dominated by the Seahawks from a ton of aspects, I should say. But I do want to give a lot of credit to the Patriots defense because not only did Drake May not play a good game, I thought Sam Darnold played a bad game as well. I thought Sam Darnold played I don't want to say a Super Bowl losing type of game, but it definitely was not a good game. And again, that's a lot of credit to this New England defense. You look at their DBs. I mean, Craig Woodson, it was probably him and Gonzo tied up there, but I think Craig Woodson was a little more disruptive in this game, especially against the run. I mean, that defense played well all around. That defense played good enough to win the game, but there's only so much you can do when your offense is consistently 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I mean, up until the fourth quarter, I think the furthest the Patriots got on the field was to the Seahawks, 43-yard line. They didn't even get in field goal range until the fourth quarter. It's just impossible to win a game like that. It is impossible to win a game like that. So a ton of credit to the Seahawks, a ton of credit to both of these defenses. I mean, I know people don't like to see it, in the Super Bowl. You want to see these action-packed plays and, these touchdowns, a high-scoring this and that. But, I mean, just a dominant overall defensive performances by both teams. It was a sight to see. On the other side, offensively, obviously not pretty for both. I mean, the Super Bowl MVP being Kenneth Walker, that was a bright spot for the Seahawks team. And that was really kind of when this game took a turn, was when Kenneth Walker really started to take over. I think it was their second drive or third drive where he got those 2 30-yard runs. And then every single time this guy got the ball, I mean, I was almost confident it was going for a first down. I mean, he was just chucking away and going away. And it was just, they couldn't tackle him. They could not tackle this guy. He was a literal bowling ball out there. The first running back to win Super Bowl MVP since Terrell Davis. A really, really great performance. And, people are going to argue it should have been Jason Myers or potentially even Michael Dixon with how great they were playing. Obviously, Myers broke the record for most field goals made by a kicker in a Super Bowl at 5. So there's a real argument there, but it's just tough to win it. I think if Walker, what did he rush for, 135? If Walker rushes for like just over 100, I think you can make an argument, but it was clear that he was a dominant force for their offense and a guy that was a big part, that was even leading to these Myers field goals. And a lot of them were pretty cheap shots, 30 to low 40 type of kicks. So that's just a uphill battle for a kicker to win it like that. I want to get, before I get into some other information and talk about this bowl, I want to see where you're at, anything that I haven't covered or touched on, just kind of your overall thoughts about this game.
Yeah, I mean, you touched most things. I think I think it's funny, like a kind of, full circle moment with how people talk about the Patriots and them having like the easiest schedule this year for the regular season, and they get to the playoffs and like they play 4 of the top, 7 defenses in the league.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you want to go to their last 3 games, that's 3 of the top 3 defenses in the league. They just played Houston, Denver, and Seattle. And that's just, funny to look at, them going, from the easiest schedule in the league in the regular season to in the playoffs playing just, straight demons on the defensive side. But, yeah, I also want to say, too, point out another full circle moment with, Drake May and his performance and, the Seattle defense getting pressure on him and stuff and, just kind of just throwing him off, his rhythm. And, like, he was missing a lot of easy throws that game, and he felt real antsy in the pocket a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't know when that blitz was coming. And it kind of goes back to, him kind of seeing ghosts that game. And, the whole history with that, Sam Darnold early in his career seeing ghosts against the Patriots.
Yeah.
And now Sam Darnold's on the opposite side of that.
Yeah.
And his team is making the Patriots quarterback see ghosts. And I thought that was a funny full circle moment.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you covered most things. I think Darnold didn't have a great game. Obviously, everybody knows Seattle defense, the best defense in the league all season. I mean, they came up and did exactly what pretty much everybody expected.
Yeah.
I thought the Seahawks, obviously my prediction last episode, I thought, they had a chance to maybe pull it out, being, somewhat a little more experienced, maybe more experienced coach and all that. But,
yeah,
I just kind of wanted to be different and pick the Patriots, to be honest. I mean,
no.
Whenever anybody asked me in real life, like I told her, like if I had to put my money on a team, like 100%, you got to go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, and that's a fair point, because I think last episode when we were kind of both going back and forth with it, I think both sides were right. I think your whole thing was you believed that this Patriots defense could keep this game close. And even though technically they weren't necessarily keeping it close because their offense couldn't do anything,
they held them to 4 straight field goals.
Their defense
did
played
what they were supposed to do.
Exactly. They played good enough to win this game up to a point. Yeah. And again, on the opposite side,
played better.
Where I was looking at it was this offense has been terrible, and I thought that this was a team that they were playing where the other side, the Seahawks offense, could punish them for that. And they weren't really able to do that until late in the game. So it was kind of like a double whammy. It was like both of us were kind of correct at the same time. We were looking at it, obviously, from different points. But, yeah, it's a good point that you say. And I don't want to, keep bashing on it because, I was a fan. I was a really big fan of Drake. I'm still a really big fan. I'm a fan of a lot of NFL players, but I'm still a fan of Drake May, and especially pre-draft, I was a big Drake May guy, but this was a really rough run from him for his first, run, and it's unfortunate to see. I mean, you look at worst playoff runs by a quarterback who've started at least 3 games in a single postseason run. He is by far and away number 1 in total EPA, and I don't mean that in like highest, like worst. He is minus 29.2 in total EPA. Next closest is Peyton Manning in 2015, who won a Super Bowl, funny enough, 22.7. And it's funny, you look at a lot of these quarterbacks, and it's who started at least 3 games, so obviously they made the Super Bowl. But a lot of them, like Joe Burrow in 21, made it with the 11th worst. Then you look at Garoppolo in 21. He didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but he made it to the championship. He's number 9. Let's see, Goff in 18, Manning in 15, and now May in 25. So it's rough out there for Drake May. And I want to even bring you in for this because it was something that I saw on my feed talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. And now we don't want to jump the gun and come to these conclusions, but there's certain teams, right? Dan Campbell said it himself about his own Detroit Lions when they made it to the NFC Championship and ultimately blew that game to the Niners. He said sometimes this is your only shot and you really don't know it. And I think that could be true for the Lions. I think that very well could be true for the Bengals in 2021, where that legitimately could have been their only shot. I mean, they are a team that's really far away from getting back to that point. Is it crazy to say that this Patriots team could potentially be seeing something like that, or is that a huge overreaction? Is that a thing where I'm just in the moment? Because if I said that about the Bengals in 2021, I think it would be looked at as weird and hating and this and that. And now you look at it and it's like, man, the Bengals I think are years away from even being a playoff winning, like just a team that wins a playoff game.
Yeah, are you saying it as like being back in the Super Bowl or like being
potentially
successful in the playoffs?
I would say winning a Super Bowl, because at the end of the day, you only get one shot to really do that. Not one shot, but there's teams where it's like, this is your only chance. I think that was the way with the Lions. Like I said, you think this could be a similar situation where we could,
most likely.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say like almost like you kind of have to expect to be a dynasty to do that, but like we don't really see a lot of teams repeat it and go back and have multiple opportunities like that. What's the team? Obviously the Chiefs, that's a dynasty. The only other team we've seen do that recently is the Patriots dynasty, and then like the Eagles and the Niners, who are, I mean, obviously just a way better team than the Patriots.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think that's crazy to say at all that this was kind of their chance to win it all. And I mean, even in the playoffs, I mean, like I said, they just played, some of the best defenses in the league, but I wouldn't say it's the hardest just teams to play, because with that being said, those teams' offenses were like super dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Like the Chargers, obviously the worst offensive line in the league by far.
Yeah.
And they crushed them, held them to 3 points, even though they only scored 16.
Right.
And then same thing with Houston. Really bad, pretty bad offense, really bad offensive line, and C.J. Stroud just played awful.
Yep.
And it wasn't just like a one-off. I mean, C.J. Stroud, you could kind of expect that, going into this game, that he was probably going to have a tough game. This was going to be a game won by the defenses. And then same thing with Denver.
Yeah.
Even, Bo Nix playing would have definitely 100% made a difference. I don't want to say that, but I think I was also like an offense that was, even with Bo Nix, that was kind of an easier game for them. Like, that's not a very high-powered offense that they would have been playing against, but, Bo Nix was out for that game anyways. And they played Jared Stidham, first game, him starting in like 2 years. So, yeah, I think this probably was their shot. Unless they can make like a, really big splash play in free agency, I guess, or trade for somebody crazy on another, like a real playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. Because their defense is set. I think their defense, they got a lot of young pieces over there.
Yeah.
That they could keep that defense good for a long time. I think it's just the offense. I think they got to get that offensive line a lot better. Hope Will Campbell can be better, or maybe you just have to move him inside. Yeah. That was kind of the pre-draft thing with him. Like, if he was going to move to guard, he's, just not really long enough, big enough to play tackle. And then, just get May more weapons.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think there are two things where you can look at it where it could be different for the Patriots. One, I think this defense is better than some of the other teams that I've talked about. And I also think that, but this also could go against it. I think this offense isn't as talented as the other teams, so I think they have more room to grow. As far as this was a Super Bowl team that really didn't have, they have a lot of guys that play well out there at receiver, but they didn't really have great receivers. Their run game couldn't really get it going. Their offensive line and pass protection was really bad. So this is a team that has a lot of areas to grow at, and that could be a good thing, or that could also be a bad thing, because if they're not able to hit on those and correct those spots, then this is a team that could go from a Super Bowl team to a team that potentially doesn't even win a playoff game next year. I mean, who knows? I mean, if the teams that they were playing in this year playoffs just had, average or even just 20th ranked type offensive play, they could have lost some of those games. So it's a weird spot that they're in. I think they're going to stay aggressive. I think the Patriots are obviously proved to be, the best franchise in history in the NFL potentially. And I think they're going to do right. They're going to continue to do well in the draft and free agency. I think Mike Vrabel is obviously one of the better coaches in the year, winning Coach of the Year that we'll go ahead and get into soon. But yeah, it's interesting. It's just a point that I wanted to bring up because I saw someone talking about it for the Bengals that I thought was interesting, that at the time you didn't expect that, especially with Joe Burrow out there at quarterback. And now you see that with the Patriots where they have their own type of Joe Burrow and Drake May. So it's interesting. I want to switch back to Seattle to obviously give them their props. They are the Super Bowl champions. They're going to go into next year being the reigning champs and the team to beat. But man, oh man, the one thing that I love about this team is just how much they hit in the draft. Just how much being a great drafting team can just really change the future of your team. Tariq Woolen, JSN, Devin Witherspoon. I mean, you can go on and on about team. Nick
Woolen gave up
Eamon
the only touchdown in this game for the
Yeah, true. I don't know why I started with him. I was just thinking of secondary players,
at the top.
and I was just like, let me start. But I mean, again, you can really go down a lot of their players on their team. They certainly have,
he was almost traded at the deadline.
Yeah, that's true. It's a fair point. He picked up his play a lot, I will say. He played really bad at the start of this year where he got benched for certain points and he was playing, 50%, 60% snaps. And he definitely picked up his play. But in the playoffs, he had some overall rough moments. But I thought he played better in the second half. Not amazing, but better. But, I mean, you look at this team from top to bottom, they killed it in the draft. And obviously they have, free agent pickups. You look at Darnold, who could potentially go down as one of the better free agent signings of all time, depending on what he continues to do with this Seattle team. I mean, Ernest Jones was a trade from the Rams. Just a lot of great players.
Leonard Williams,
this team. Yep.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yep. I mean,
Josh Jobe.
A team that just really hit on every single aspect. Mike McDaniel.
What did they trade? What did they give for trading for Josh Jobe? Didn't they trade basically? Eagles gave him up for nothing.
I'd assume nothing. Let's see, because Josh Jobe wasn't this huge guy. Let's see.
Oh no, he wasn't even traded. He was signed. He was just a free agent. I thought they traded him.
Yeah, he's only signed to a 1-year deal, so he's actually going to free agency. But he'll be brought back for sure. He'll get a nice little penny from Seattle. But yeah, man, they are the Super Bowl champs. And just a round of applause for the whole team. Mike McDonald, one of the innovators on defense in history. I mean, they're going to do studies around this defense for years to come. A guy that just shut down some of the most dominant quarterbacks that we have in the league. And I saw someone point that out where they're like, Stafford threw for 700 yards and 8 touchdowns on this defense this year. I think he deserved that MVP. Obviously, different circumstances. Good offensive line over there for the Rams. A great weapons. McVay is an offensive genius himself. So different circumstances, but I just thought that was funny that someone pointed that out. So yeah, man, the season is over. We're on to the off season. We're on to free agency. We're on to the draft. We're on to new teams being, potential Super Bowl. I actually did see this, and I wanted to go back and check it. I had favorited Super Bowl odds, and I think award odds. Let me see. Maybe it was just award odds that I had favorited going into next year. Yeah, it is just NFL MVP odds. You know who the favorite is? Could you guess? I mean, it's not crazy, but the favorite to win MVP next year. Yeah. Plus 500.
Josh Allen?
Yeah, for the Bills. Obviously, I don't know why I said that, but it's just right below his name. It goes Josh Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, which is interesting. I don't even know if he's going to start the season. I mean, he very well could, but that's crazy to be number 3. Herbert is 4. Burrow at 5. I mean, they're all plus 1,000. Mahomes, Herbert, Burrow, and May. Dak at 13. 1,300 plus 1,300, Stafford, Jordan Love, and then Caleb Williams.
Just saw a tweet, by the way. Next Gen Stats attribute 14 pressures allowed by Will Campbell. The most pressures by any player in a game this season.
Oh, my God. Bro, I don't even know. I mean, that would be an interesting stat. Obviously, that's difficult to look up. I thought you were going to say the most of all time because 14 is high. I mean, that's like what you'll see for a quarterback going through a rough time for a game. Oh, he was pressured 14 times from one player. I mean, I wonder. I mean, the most can't be too far. It's probably like 18 or something. That is crazy. And that's an interesting thing before we get into.
Also, fun fact, Drake May just had the most passing yards in a single quarter of Super Bowl history. 235 yards in the fourth quarter.
I mean, when I looked at the numbers, when I clicked on it and then I went to fourth quarter, I'm like, am I reading this right? Did I actually not click it? And that's his total stats? No, yeah, he had 235. 2 touchdowns.
Also, Puka throwing shots at Sam Darnold. What is this?
Really? What
Did
is
you
that?
see that?
I thought I saw a tweet.
He just tweeted
Sam Darnold.
Laughing emoji and then said Sam Darnold.
When he tweeted that, I feel like it's got to be something that
Ernest
happened.
Jones just replied to it. Ain't you at home, goofy ass?
Whoa. Wow. Okay.
Breaking news.
Little bit of off-season beef. I did see that. I thought also, yeah, sources confirm. Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak confirms that he will be the next head coach for the Raiders. What are your initial thoughts on that, Jaden? Any positive signs coming from you?
I think him going from winning the Super Bowl to going to that organization is going to be a real wake-up call.
You know what I will say,
buddy?
And we're gonna get it. We're gonna get into some awards, some other things around the NFL. Fernando Mendoza is my quarterback. Clint Kubiak is going to be my head coach going into next year, right? And I'm fully bought in on Mendoza, but I have had a little bit of nerves around it, right? You look at the offensive scheme that he's running in college. You look at, sometimes he panics in the pocket. Sometimes I don't love his footwork in the pocket. There's things like that scare me, right? He's not the most athletic guy. And for a guy to not be athletic, not be super poised in the pocket, his movement's not great. It's scary to come into the league like that. But I think Kubiak getting the most out of a player like Darnold, where I think if you look at Mendoza, you would say his peak is like a Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins type of thing, where it's like, these pretty good pocket pass. I think Darnold is more of an accurate because I think Darnold is much more athletic than those other two, and Mendoza can move. So I think Kubiak being able to get a lot out of Darnold, I think is a good sign going to a quarterback like Mendoza. And I think that's my biggest thing going into this relationship, where it's like, obviously Darnold had a great, year, the year before with the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, but there was some questions going into this season where it's like, can he replicate that? And Darnold is a good quarterback. I don't think Darnold is head coach or offensive coordinator made anymore, but I think it's still important to play with a good offensive line, and that's what Kubiak is. So I have some faith in my Raiders for once in my life. I'm not saying we're going to do anything special, but it feels good to have a quarterback finally. I don't want to shit on Derek Carr, but I mean a young quarterback that I can root for. It's been a long time. It's been since 2014. And even then, it's a lot different going from a second-round pick to, the number 1 overall pick. But yeah, that's our Super Bowl talk and everything like that. There are some off the field things that I want to get into, starting off with our awards. I'll go over the official 2025 NFL awards real quick. MVP goes out to Matthew Stafford. Offensive Player of the Year, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Teteroa McMillan. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Carson Schwessinger. Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel. Assistant Coach of the Year, Josh McDaniels. Comeback Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey. Protector of the Year, Joe Thuney. and Walter Payton being Bobby Wagner. Give a little bit of props to my man Jaden. He did call the Joe Thuney Protector of the Year, so I'll give you.
I actually didn't. I picked Panay, but then I came back and said, though, in a different episode about Joe Thuney after that playoff game with them putting him at left tackle and just dominating Jared Verse.
That's right. I thought you had picked.
I didn't actually pick him in the video.
Yeah.
No, I picked Panay in the video.
Okay, but you still did mention it, so I'll give you half props there. But yeah, everything here was something that we predicted. I think the only thing that I was really different on, Coach of the Year, I think was a big thing that I differed, which was Kyle Shanahan, who I believe we both voted for, considering situations. But I mean, Vrabel is still a great pick. We didn't do Assistant Coach of the Year, which is on our part, but I definitely would not have picked Josh McDaniels, knowing his history with my team. But yeah, there's some things.
Is that something they always just pick for the assistant to the Coach of the Year, or no?
I would assume not, but
because I can't tell you any Assistant Coach of the Year winners.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Obviously, the Patriots' offense was a lot more successful than people thought, so that's obviously a big part of it. But it could be a thing where it's like, it's a thing where Coach of the Year and Assistant Coach of the Year are most likely on the same. But honestly,
also, I feel like too they gave it to Vrabel like it was kind of like a first year tax thing. Like,
yeah, that's a fair point.
It was his first year with the team. I could see them like not saying it for, even though Shanahan had injuries, like he's been with this unit for a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a little, I guess that's probably how they looked at it, if I had to assume.
That's fair. And there's some other MVP or award news that I want to get into is the voting for some of these. So we'll start out with the MVP voting. It went 24 to Stafford, 23 to Drake May, 2 to Josh Allen, and 1 vote to Justin Herbert. And as we mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, when you total up all the other votes, if that 1 vote would have went to Drake May, he would have been the MVP. Even though, again, I was a Matthew Stafford guy. I believe, were you a Drake when we did our award show? Were you Drake May over Stafford?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we differed there, but I was in favor of Stafford winning it, and he goes out there and does. He gets his first NFL MVP. I thought this was a year where he could have doubled that and got a championship on top of it, but regardless, the guy's a Hall of Famer. Have his gold jacket ready. And, bigger news, he's returning next year. He announced that during his MVP speech, and Sean McVay and Kyron Williams were going nuts. So we're getting more Matthew Stafford next year for potentially back-to-back MVP. Who knows? I mean, probably not, but you never know. And the Offensive Player of the Year voting is another one that I wanted to touch on. Jackson Smith-Njigba obviously won it with 14 first-place votes. Second place was Christian McCaffrey at 12. At 12, that is blasphemy to me. There's a world where McCaffrey could have won this award. I get it. He was everything for that 49ers offense. But I think just how historic of a year JSN had on an offense that was historically low in passing, I feel like that was like a no-brainer. I really was like, Puka was like the only person that I thought had a real chance at it, considering if he doesn't miss that game and 3 quarters that he did, he potentially could have won this award. But man, that was crazy to me. When this came out and it was that close, I did not see that coming. Puka did end up getting 8 votes, Bijan with 6, Drake May with 5, Stafford with 3, Allen with 1, and Trey McBride got a vote. This is the interesting thing to me. Why do some people get votes? I get it. Trey McBride had an amazing year. Great year. Don't get me wrong. One of the best tight end seasons we've ever seen in history. Why is he getting an Offensive Player of the Year vote? The Cardinals won, 4 games this year? I mean, there's no way that person should have a vote next year. And that's the same thing for the MVP with Justin Herbert. There's no way those guys should have votes. I get it. You can look at the situations.
Who voted for Herbert? Did you see that guy on Twitter?
I saw the tweet. I don't know his name or anything, but I did see the tweet come out.
You've never seen him before?
I don't believe so. Nuh-uh.
He's like a PFF guy. like one of the PFF guys.
Do you have his thing or the tweet off top?
I don't, but
let me see. I could easily look this up. But I just think that was so crazy that players like that have votes. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's blasphemy. I think MVP should have literally been 2 players that got the vote. Here it is. Sam Monson. I was the Justin Herbert vote. The guy had the worst offensive line in the NFL all season, and despite that, he was working miracles in almost every game. Stafford's O-line became 2/5 as bad as Herbert's for 5 minutes, and it became a turnover howitzer. He embodied value. Listen, I get it. I understand that we want to have this thing where it's like, oh, we want to look at value and this and that. I think it's so I think when the narrative fits, it's good. But when a guy does not have numbers close for an MVP, and there's also other candidates that are having amazing historic years, it's stupid to me, right? It's the whole thing with last year with Lamar and Allen. I think I get it. You want to look at Allen being the more valuable player, a guy that, he carried more. His offense didn't have the same type of talent that Lamar had, even though, Lamar wasn't out there throwing to these all-pro type of guys. He had Henry behind him, but his offensive line wasn't this out-of-world thing. He had some players out there that weren't great. But I think when you have historic years, they overwrite anything that someone else does when it's like, you just pull up the side-by-side. I don't like to be a box score watcher, but when it becomes that much of a difference, and it's not even solely box score because you can do all type of advanced stats you want, and Lamar was beating Allen at a lot of things. But it's just, it's stupid to me when they don't know how to look at certain contexts and differentiate the value of certain things when a player is having a historic season. I don't care if a guy plays with a couple all-pros and he goes out there and throws 50 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and a guy that's on a average offense throws for 29 touchdowns and rushes for 11. I don't give a fuck about none of that. This guy just had a historic season. But again, there's context that matters. The big one that people will point to is when Lamar won it in 2023. I get it. That's a really weird year because there wasn't a ton of quarterbacks that was having, these all-time type of performances. Dak was the best performing quarterback who had, I believe, like 36 touchdowns. I think he hit 4,000 yards. But again, there were a lot of contexts that mattered to that. Lamar had a rough start to the year, but later on, he played the toughest schedule. You can look at the numbers. That 2023 year by Lamar, that was the hardest schedule that a team has ever had to play when you look at strength of schedule. They beat the most, 10-plus win teams in a season, and Lamar dominated every single one of those teams. The 49ers, the Lions, the Dolphins. I think they played who else did they play that year? I think they played like 1 or 2 other teams that slip in my mind that he dominated. He flat out dominated them on Christmas, primetime. Went out there and walked the 49ers down in a playoff race that featured Brock Purdy, who threw 4 interceptions. There's context to everything, and people fail to realize it. I get it. You want to put this in for Herbert and for McBride. It's such a stupid vote. I don't get it. I hate it. I don't think people like that should have votes. It's so stupid to me. But off of award talk, this is something that I wanted to talk about. The Hall of Fame class for 2026 was announced. It was Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, and Roger Craig. 5 players, obviously deserving of that. The 2027 class, I was interested. They released the top 10 players eligible for the 2027 Pro Football Hall of Fame. I want to go through this list and see how many players we think will be first ballot Hall of Famers. It goes Adrian Peterson, and I'll even link this to you so you can see this as well. But it goes Adrian Peterson, Rob Gronkowski, Richard Sherman, Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Cam Newton, Andrew Whitworth, Eric Weddle, and Alex Mack. I think out the gate,
the link?
I sent it on Twitter. I think, without a doubt, Adrian Peterson is a lock.
For first ballot?
You don't think so?
Yeah, I don't know if he's first ballot.
You don't think
Maybe.
Adrian Peterson is first ballot? Really?
I don't know. I think I hold first ballot. I mean, I don't, but I know how the Hall of Fame system holds first ballot.
I mean, this is a guy that rushed for 2K as a running back, won MVP. I mean, he has his second year in the league, 1760. Yeah. I mean, almost 15K rushing yards.
But I'm not thinking for myself. I'm thinking for realistically.
Yeah, I can feel you.
I think for myself, I probably would, but
now this is the interesting.
He probably still does because he also does have like the all-time numbers.
Yeah, because that's
a lot of touchdowns. He's up there in yards.
He has the peak plus longevity, probably. So I think that does a lot. The second name on this list that bounces off the page to me that I just don't know if he's getting in because of the off-the-field issues, but Antonio Brown should 100% be a first ballot Hall of Fame lock. And I don't know how much, because if he's not first ballot, is there a thing where he will the voters like just weigh his off the field so much that he never gets in? Is that like a real, because I don't know if we've had a situation that's as wild as Antonio Brown.
Probably not that we've had a situation. I don't know. I don't think he'll get in first ballot because of it, but I don't know if that hinders his eligibility at all.
Yeah, because it's weird. I mean, like I said, without a doubt, if he didn't have it, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He had the
because this is
first year
DraftKings.
This is just first year.
But I'm saying this
players.
Is just going by off the math. We don't even know if AB will be on their ballot.
Yeah,
all.
It's just eligible. So this goes back. This can go back. This goes back obviously to the start of the NFL. Everybody is eligible. These are the first year eligible players. So there could be players that are above him that it's like it could be close, and it's like they're just going to factor in. Oh, this guy's an absolute lunatic. He's not going to get in, despite having the greatest 6-year stretch of a receiver ever, potentially. So I think Antonio Brown would get my vote. I don't think he does off of that. Do you think Ben gets in first ballot?
Hell no.
You don't think so? Not a big Ben guy?
Hell no.
I think it's going to be interesting because...
First ballot?
Listen, this is all I'm saying. I'm not saying he 100% gets my vote.
That's not even... I don't even think about that.
But I think when I look at it, this league is very heavy favorited towards long-term longevity quarterbacks. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ, and he has a couple, pretty high years, high peaking years. He has some good years in there. But it is going to be interesting because I don't know. I was never a super huge Ben guy when he was in the league. But I just think it's going to be interesting. I think it could be a thing where he does get in because, like I said, voters value that heavily. I don't think he would get my vote, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. That's one that we put in the air. So if you're up in the air on Adrian Peterson, is there anybody on this top 10 that you would say is like a lock?
All right, I'm looking at the first ballots right now.
Mm-hmm.
Every first ballot. Hall of Fame quarterback to ever get it.
Let's hear it.
Drew Brees.
Yep.
Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Brett Favre. Warren Moon. Troy Aikman. Obviously, we get further back. Steve Young. Dan Marino. John Elway. Jim Kelly. Joe Montana. Dan Fouts.
Yeah. And a lot of those guys have MVPs. Ben Roethlisberger does not.
I think, if you look at their counting stuff to him, obviously he's probably going to look better than a couple of those. But,
he's a
I think to their peers at the time, those guys were the best for against their peers. I think Ben Roethlisberger against his peers, he was
I don't know if he I don't think he
was never
as
like
a
that tier
top
1,
3, top 4 quarterback in the league. I don't think
he was never that tier 1 quarterback when he was in the league.
It's a fair point.
I just don't see that. I just don't see that. I mean, they're super strict with it, especially nowadays. They're super strict with it.
Yeah. So again, do you see anybody from this first year of eligible players that you would consider a lock? Like, does Rob or Richard, are those a lock for you? Is a Whitworth a lock for you, or is it just
Gronk? I think it's, if I had to pick.
Or it could be you don't even have to, because there's a lot of times where people don't get in.
Yeah.
It's could. I mean, I would say this is a fairly strong class, but it's not like,
if I had to pick three that I think in my opinion would be the locks, but obviously they're not guaranteed. It'd be AP, Gronk, and probably Whitworth.
It's a fair point. I think let me look up Sherman's awards just for sure. I just want to look at, he's a 3-time All-Pro. That's the number that came to mind, but I wasn't 100% sure. Yeah, Richard's going to be interesting because he had a really high peak. He had some down years, and then obviously he came back to the Niners and played that year with them and played really well. So it's going to be interesting.
I think Whitworth would be a lock for first over him, though, in my opinion.
Yeah. Especially with how long
more consistent, played such a long time.
Yeah,
just a stalwart.
He was good. He was really good. Yeah, it's not a super strong class. I think Gronk and AP.
I think Gronk
and
AP will be the ones.
I think those are the ones I feel the strongest about, and then I think the next 4 that are like up in the air is Sherman, Ben, Antonio, Whitworth. Guys like Cam and Le'Veon are interesting to me, because obviously Cam has the MVP, but he just doesn't have a lot of great years outside of that. He's got, his rookie year that was really great. He's got that 2018, I want to say, year that he was killing it before, TJ Watt ultimately messed him up. And the same thing with Le'Veon. Le'Veon has like 2 to 3 really, really, really good years, but I just don't know if those are enough to get in there. I don't know. It's interesting. Like, get in there at all type of thing. I don't know. We'll have to see. We will have.
I don't think Cam gets in there at all.
Yeah, I'm not fairly confident he will either, honestly. But yeah, that's I think that's almost, if not, that is everything really that I wanted to go over in this episode. The Seahawks are Super Bowl champs. The Raiders have their new coach. We're on to the off season, and it's going to be a good one. We got our top 10 rankings coming out for quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, all these good stuff. We're going to be doing our top 25, under 25, reacting to free agency, doing some mock drafts. So a lot of great things coming up for this offseason. Make sure you guys, if you're not, make sure to leave a subscribe. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to rate us 5 stars. We're going to be keeping you guys in the loop every single week during the off season, giving you guys a bunch of great football content. So be on the lookout for sure. And yeah, man, we're out. Peace.